Welcome back, guys, to another edition of The Right Class. This is the second video for April 7th, Tuesday. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing factors and multiples. But before I get started on that, I do want to tell you that the nice thing about these videos is that you can stop them at any point in time. And you can rewind, you can go back and watch them again. If you get in the middle of an assignment and you kind of forgot what I had talked about in the video, that's what's nice about these. You can pull it right back up, watch it again, and I encourage that so that you make sure that you catch all the information. You want to stop the video, take a couple of notes so that you have those on your assignment. That's great too. So take advantage of this opportunity you have in these videos to where you can actually go back to them and use them as much as you want to make sure that you are getting all the content from these videos. So just another quick little tip for you on that. Utilize that. It's going to help you a bunch. So first off, we're going to talk about factors, listing the factors of a number. We know that a factor times a factor equals a product. So if I want to find the factors of 24, I am wanting to think about all the ways that I can multiply two numbers to get a product of 24. And this goes back to our divisibility rules that we have memorized. If you have forgotten some of your divisibility rules, you have that in your portfolio. Always go back to that portfolio. There are lots of good resources. We have notes and individual interactive notebooks that we put in there. So it's another good resource for you. So factors of 24. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about the very easiest one to come up with, which is 1 times 24, right? And then I'm just going to work my way down using my divisibility rule. So the next number that I would think about is 2. Is there anything that I can multiply times 2 to get 24? Well, my divisibility rules state that anything times 2 is going to be an even number. 24 is an even number, so therefore I know that 2 times 12 equals 24. Next, I'm going to go down to 3. Is there anything times 3 that I can take to get 24? And the divisibility rule for 3 is the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So I add 2 plus 4, I get 6. I know 6 is divisible by 3, so therefore I know 3 will go into 24. And I take 3 times 8 to get 24. Okay, excuse my 8 there. And then on number 4, we have a divisibility rule for that, but that one was kind of a tough one to memorize. But it just kind of goes back to basic facts. I know that 4 times 6 equals 24. And as I am coming up with these, I know that I'm narrowing the gap here. I know that the only other possible numbers I could have as factors of 24 have to be between 4 and 6. And the only number is 5. And I know there's nothing times 5 that I can multiply to get 24, because anything times 5 has to end in either a 5 or a 0. So that tells me that I have all of my factors here. And when I get my factors, you know that you list them in order from least to greatest, and you can simply just come down this column here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Okay, so I listed out my factors over here to the side. So that is a quick review on factors. Next, we're going to talk about multiples. Okay, multiples are numbers that you get when you take a number and you multiply it times the counting number. So therefore, if I'm wanting to find the multiples of 4, I am going to take 4 times each counting number. And we know counting numbers start with 1. If I was to ask you to count to 10, you wouldn't start with 0. You would say 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's simply what you're doing. So I know the first multiple of 4 is 4 because 4 times 1, that counting number, is 4. 4 times 2 would be 8. 4 times 3 would be 12. 4 times 4 would be 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. And you get the idea, okay? So if I wanted to ask you if 48 is a multiple of 4, all you would have to do is simply think about, is there anything I can multiply times 4 to get 48? And if there is, it is a multiple of 4, okay? So that is multiples. simply multiplying a number times a counting number to get those multiples for that particular number. All right? And it's basically, we also talked about, it's basically just counting by that number. If I want to know the multiples of 4, I'm counting by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and so on. If I wanted to know the multiples of 5, I simply count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. All right? So hopefully that refreshes your memory on factors and multiples. One last thing that I do want to go over is prime versus composite. If you remember that a prime number only has two factors, 1 and itself. So for example, 7 is a prime number because the only two numbers you can multiply to get 7 is 1 times 7. So it has two factors. Composite numbers, like the one that we did at the very beginning of this lesson, 24, have more than two factors, okay? And now, hopefully, a little question that we've talked about before is, do you remember whether or not 1 is prime or composite? Well, if you remember, 1 is neither prime nor composite because the only thing that you can multiply to get 1 is 1 times 1. So 1 only has one factor, and that is 1. So it's neither prime nor composite. So just wanted to throw that in there to kind of refresh your memory. The last thing I want to tell you before I end this video is review your portfolio. Take a minute and just kind of go through all the stuff all the stuff we have in our portfolio to kind of help you review some of those skills. There are some great resources in there to help you with these daily assignments. And so that's just another great resource that we put together all year long for you to utilize now. So review your portfolio for me. There's my poor attempt at a smiley face. I appreciate all your hard work. Stay with it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Stay tuned.